Hey everyone, it's Jackie, and today I'm going to talk about my sleep training tips from getting Jamie from co-sleeping to sleeping 12 hours in his crib. So moms and dads, it's time for you guys to get some rest. Before we begin, I just want to mention that I am not a sleep consultant or a physician of any kind. This video is just based off of my experience and my tips that helped us through the sleep training journey. So tip number one is having an idea of what your baby's natural sleep routine is. Finding this out early on will help immensely when it comes to sleep training. For me, I use an app called Baby Tracker, so I was able to track down his diaper changes, naps, sleeps, and feedings. So when it came to sleep training, I was able to gather all of the information from the app and build a solid bedtime routine for Jamie. So with that being said, routine is something that is super important for sleep training. Babies live off of routine and they function better with a routine. So tip number two is figuring out if your baby no longer needs nighttime feedings. So for me, I spoke to his pediatrician first. We were really happy with his growth spurt and his feeding intake. So his pediatrician gave us the green light to start sleep training around 5.5 months. Another thing to look out for is your baby's hunger cues. So when we were co-sleeping with Jamie, I would notice when he needed my breast for comfort or if he's actually needing milk. So with that being said, if your pediatrician says it's good to start and your baby no longer needs nighttime feeding, then you're good to start. So tip number three is figuring out which sleep training method you want to use. There are so many different methods out there, so take the time to figure out which one you want to use that fits best for you and your baby. For us, we went head on with the Ferber method and it worked really well for us. But leave a comment down below if you want me to explain more on what Ferber method is or why the other methods did not work for us. So based on the 3 tips that I just mentioned, if you have them all checked off, then you are good to start. So my next tip is figuring out a week to dedicate on sleep training. So for me, I live in Canada, so I was already on maternity leave, but I picked a week where my husband had days off so he can do sleep training with me. You need that support. You need your partner, you need either a friend or a mother, anybody, because if you're doing sleep training alone, it's gonna be so hard. You will be tempted to give up. So you need that person to keep you grounded throughout this experience. So the next step is starting your bedtime routine and being consistent. Make sure you start at a specific time and that your baby goes to bed at a specific time as well. So for us, when we started sleep training at 5.5 months, we would start at 7:30 with a bath time, followed by a massage with lotion and pajamas. We would give him a feeding, at the same time a bedtime story. Then I would take him into his room, sing a lullaby, and put him down in his crib drowsy by 8:15 p.m. The reason for this is so that your baby can learn how to self-soothe. If you put your baby down fully asleep, they won't get to learn how to self-soothe, which makes the whole sleep training pointless. So my next tip is about feeding. Throughout the day, I would breastfeed Jamie, but when it came down to the bedtime routine, I would give Jamie breast milk in a bottle. The reason for this is to ensure that he was getting the proper amount before bedtime. Another good suggestion is giving formula before bed. The reason for this is that it's heavier in the stomach so that you'll know that your baby's satisfied throughout the night. So next I'm going to talk about 2 items that helped us through sleep training, and they were both recommended by our cousin from California. So the first item is the Hatch Baby Rest. I already mentioned it in our first video. So basically it helped Jamie self-soothe and it cancels out any outside noise so it doesn't disrupt his sleep. The second item is the weighted Zen sleep sack. I know most parents swaddle their babies and that works perfectly well, but for Jamie, it did not work out. He hated being swaddled since the moment he was born. So this helped us a lot. and it has a little weight in the chest area, which mimics kind of like a parent's hand, so they feel comforted and that they're not alone. So my last and final tip, which helped me a lot, was writing down how long it took for my baby to fall asleep each night. So I suggest having a baby camera or any kind of camera in the room so that you avoid checking in frequently and possibly waking them up. These nights are gonna feel long and hard, so seeing the progress each night will give you confidence and hope. So just don't give up and have confidence in your child. So I just want to mention that you will run into challenges such as sleep regression. It's okay to have a little break. Give your child a break to give them extra comfort, extra love, co-sleep for a night. But once your baby starts to feel better, just have them back on the regular routine. So that is it, everyone. If you guys have any comments, please leave them down below. If you have any questions or helpful tips so we can help one another, that would be helpful as well. Sleep training is not easy, so we're all in this together. And don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Say bye. With that being said, at the end, when I'm starting to sleep, was able to have a week off. Okay, I said too much. So my next tip is figuring out a week to start sleep training. What? Story time, or I can do a story time while how to self-soothe themselves to sleep. Give my breast milk through a bottle. So next I'm gonna talk about the next step is wait, I blanked out.